My next guest is DJ Jel, the Soca Boss. DJ Jel is an international soca DJ known for his tagline, the Soca Boss. DJ Jel is focused on his mission to take soca music global. Stay tuned to Table Talk Show with Nikki the Voice on islandvibe.net.
Where's the scene on there? It's DJ Jel, the soca analyst.
DJ Jel!
DJ Jel.
Come to Table Talk with Nikki the Voice, where we bring to you highlights of entrepreneurs, leaders, organizers, and much more.
Across the finish line, I'll be coming back for you.
A broad spectrum of professionals, including chefs, artists, designers, musicians, and much more. Our show is a new brand of talk shows where we educate, bring transparency, and last but not least, fun. Table Talk.
You're listening to islandvibes.net.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to Table Talk Show with Nikki the Voice. We're connected with islandvibe.net. If you want to listen to us on the radio station, it's islandvibes.net. We're also on Facebook, Island Vibes. And if you want to look on YouTube, you could check out Table Talk Show with Nikki the Voice, or you could also see it on Island Vibe. Okay, today we have a jam-packed show like all the others that I've had. It's always been jam-packed. The entertainment and the person that I'm about to interview, he is known worldwide. He's a young DJ, but he's very famous. His marketing skills is undeniable. Like, this man has done so much, or young gentleman, I should say. He has done so much for the Caribbean community. It's been a pleasure working with him because I also do his drops, his voice drops, his commercials, and so forth. So my guest today is DJ Jel, and I know you know that famous line that he has. And we'll get into that when he comes in. All right. But first, I wanted to mention the news that happened recently in Baltimore. There's a bridge that collapsed in Baltimore, the Francis Scott Key Bridge. It happened yesterday, I don't want to say exactly midnight, but it happened around that time. The boat was going underneath the bridge, and then it lost, was a cargo ship. It lost control, it lost power, and as it was going under, it regained power, and then it went off again. And then it hit one part or pillar of the bridge, and then the whole thing collapsed. Now, they were saying that all the cars had crossed over in the news station, but then it shows on a different angle that it had some cars that was on there. Now, we just got reports today that two bodies of construction workers, which is Francis Scott Key, that's the bridge. Francis Scott Key is the bridge, but there's two people that were missing. There were two brothers that were missing, and they felt that they might have contributed in helping victims in the water. They're not too sure. Everything is coming through the news, and it's so much that they have to take care of. They're saying here that the bodies of two of the construction workers, one from Mexico and the other one from Guatemala, who died after a 984-foot-long cargo ship hit a pillar in Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge, has been recovered. Officials said on Wednesday the remains of four others are uncountable for. So the National Transportation Safety Board chair told CNN that investigators were able to board the ship overnight and obtain the data recordings, or black box, and more information will be shared with the public later today. So I'm sure later tonight on the news, they're going to be talking about it. We also have in the news again, the lotto. We have a big lotto Powerball winner who won yesterday. And I'll get into that information in a bit. But for now, just keep it locked. I'll take a short break and then I'll come back with my guests. Keep it locked to Island Vibes Radio. Keep it locked to islandvibes.net. And also stay tuned on Table Talk Show with Nikki G, the voice.
Mash up everything like we have insurance, and tear down everything like we have insurance. We go shell out everything like we have insurance. When crazy people reach up, they have insurance, cause we have endurance. We go mash it up and buy back, tear down and build back. Mash it up and buy back, tear down and build back. We go.
Okay, so the big Powerball, let's see, it was a Mega Millions. The Powerball is tonight, but the Mega Millions was won by one New Jersey winner. Where was that person from? Soca ShopRite Liquor in Neptune Township. And they won 1.13 billion. Amazing. I told myself, you know what, I'm going to play the lotto. And I said yesterday I was going to do it. And then time went by and I didn't. And then tonight they have another drawing of the Powerball. That was a Mega Ball, and tonight is a Powerball. So I'm crossing my fingers that I have an opportunity to play tomorrow. They always say never wait, but I have no choice. I have to wait, you know? Let's keep it locked for more with DJ Jel coming up. Welcome back, everyone. Here I have my special guest, DJ Jel. And that's not how it usually goes, but DJ Jel is here with us today. How are you, Jel?
Doing well. I know we spoke a little bit before the show. If I sound a little nasal, I'm actually still recovering from a little flu I had. But other than that, alive and well, you know.
Oh, good, good. That's very good. And have you been resting at least? Because I know you're on tour and you have so much going on, which we'll get into further down, but have you been resting or you?
Somewhat. I would say in the week I will rest, but the weekend is usually the action time. So
Okay, with playing out and doing your local gigs and
with everything.
Okay, very good. I had a big question to ask you, but then when I logged on, I was like, you know what? I don't want to start too fiery like that. Let me kind of like
You wanna walk into the progression.
pace into it, and then then we'll take off. So Jel's full name is Jelani, right? I don't know if you want people to know your last name, but his full name is Jelani. So I want to ask, how did you come up with the name Jel? How did?
Sure. So I didn't come up with the name. This is actually, and I mean, every Caribbean person or West Indian person knows that we all have our different pet names or nicknames that we grew up with. So I didn't come up with my DJ name. There was a friend of mine, she had a tough time pronouncing Jelani, and she used to call me Jel. And since then, that kind of stuck with everybody, and they started to call me Jel. So
Wow.
it's actually Ashley. I have the credit for this name, my school friend.
How is Ashley?
She's doing well.
Yeah,
I
very
hope
good.
she had a little bit of money.
Oh
I
gosh.
don't think she knows that I took credit for I took her name and ran with it.
Oh God. Well, she should know by now because you you're using it all the time. So,
Yeah.
that is pretty nice. So you are internationally known, you play soca all over the world. How did you coin the phrase the Soca Boss?
So that's something I also did not come up with. And it's funny because a lot of people in the industry think that I'm the self-proclaimed soca boss, and who is he to be calling himself that? But I actually took that from the supporters and the listeners. So a lot of people used to listen to my mixes, or still listen to my mixes, I should say.
Yeah.
They would go on Twitter and say, "Oh wow, I didn't know this song, but I heard it on Gel Mix. Oh, I didn't know this. Oh, Gel playing soca, we don't even know. He's really the soca boss." And going through Twitter, or what's now called X, because Elon Musk went and rebought it,
Yeah.
I took it from there. So a lot of the drops too that you would hear on the mixes, like Gel plays more than the same 15 songs, which is not my Nikki, by the way. I don't think people know that. I know we'll get into that, but
I was getting into that. That's my next thing. Yeah.
but all the drops that you're hearing honestly were taken from Twitter. So a lot of the marketing is based on what the people said, because I learned a long time ago from Iowa George that, the people kind of put you where you are. And once you're good with the people and your supporters, then
Yeah.
that is really the word of God, right? They're the people
Yeah.
that catapult you.
That is true because it's the same way I got well, it's two names. People would always call me Wendy, and I don't know why. Even when I went, well, I was telling you about the incident that I had and stuff like I was in the hospital. And the nurse came in and she's like, no, people always call me Michelle. She came in and she's like, okay, Michelle. I was like, how you call me Michelle? My name is Nicole. And it always happens, you know? So I end up giving my daughter that middle name. But as far as
Oh.
Nikki G is concerned, my full name is Nicole Goddard. So I was like, I know Kenny G. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be Nikki G. And it stuck because people always call me, because it's Nicole and it's a nickname, they always call me Nikki. So I was like, that'll be my name. And then I just added the voice after because of what I started doing, besides the
Right.
radio station and stuff. So I met Jel. We were talking behind the scenes and stuff. And I'm thinking it's a cool 6, 7 years, not thinking so many years went by, 12, 13 years went by, or
12 years, yeah.
12 years, you know? I'm like, it's amazing. So what I was going to say about that is a friend came to me and do you remember how you met me? Let me make sure I have this right.
I would like to think is when I was in either high school or university, when I was
Uh-huh.
working in the restaurant,
Uh-huh.
but I'm not entirely sure if that's where we met.
Yeah, so that's the first time we met. But I think you were working in a different area, and then I came there first, and then there was another one that you worked, and I came with the person that said, my friend Amari said, Nicole, I
Amari.
want you to do some drops for two friends of mine. So I'm like, okay, no problem. And it was you and DJ Dreddy. But the time passed by and stuff. And I always did stuff for you. DJ Dreddy, yeah, he still has his drop that he plays. But I think I couldn't remember who it was because the time went by so fast. And then I heard him play the drop. So I realized, it was DJ Dreddy was the second person. But yeah, he was the person that had me do your drop. And then afterwards, we met on Church Avenue. You had moved to Church Avenue after.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was bouncing back and forth between the two restaurants. But yes,
Right.
we
Yeah,
met and I think they did a little soca showcase for Young Devon and we met that night when you were still
exactly.
working with Island
Island.
Mix and
Yeah,
Julian's promo. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I wasn't actually working for Julian Pullman's, but Julian and I are good friends. But Julian worked on Island Mix. So everybody associate us together, you know. Even now when they want to do promos and stuff, they'll come to me and ask me. So I'll just refer them. I'll
With
answer the
Julian.
questions since I know him well and just converse with them, you know? Yeah. So I attended his graduation ceremony and the French's desk lasted there and we, up till now,
Yeah, we still do business up to this day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So all the drops you hear is from Nikki G. Nikki G is really the voice of DJ Jel, and we always joke about that, but it's
Yeah.
true.
Yes. I even
10
see
plus
people trying,
years.
yeah, I even see people trying to emulate it, but they've been trying. One of the guys who he did pretty well, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So taking you back to the first time you started liking music, right? What made you pursue, I know you did marketing and stuff, but what made you pursue the career of music?
For me, it was really my mom. My mom used to throw a lot of parties. She was also a part of, for those who do remember in this interview, Island People and Poison. She would
Oh,
help out
okay.
in the mass camp and do things
Mm,
like that. She'd
okay.
also make mass in New York too, and the West Indian American Day Parade, aka the Liberty Parade, was more prominent. And
Mm-hmm.
then she'd also do a little all-inclusive and other parties. And when I was younger, I would always accompany her. Um, but most times when she's setting up or dealing with food or dealing with whatever the case may be for the event, I'd always be the DJ. So I'm
Okay.
always fascinated with why they mix certain songs a different way. This would have also been during the time of CDs too.
Okay.
So I would have to watch how they actually really transition songs because we were just on the cusp of bringing laptops into the industry. The
Okay.
laptops weren't as prominent yet. People were still using CDs. So the
Mm,
likes of Back to Basics and all them Denon thing, and
yeah.
that's kind of where I started to learn.
Yeah.
Chaotic as well in Trinidad too. That's
Oh,
kind
DJ
of who,
Chaotic.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
learning about those things before they transition to laptop. And laptop is actually when I started DJ. So
All right. But you
I
see,
learned a little bit on CDs, but it didn't last long.
oh, it didn't last long. But what do you find that was easier, the CDs or the laptop, which was way easier with downloads?
Laptop only because with CDs you have to burn two copies.
Mhm.
For those who remember burning CDs now, because now it's kind of become obsolete. But that and whenever a CD gets scratched, that's the
Yeah.
biggest headache for a DJ, right? Because
Yeah.
now you're trying to play a CD, but if a song is scratched, it's not gonna sound good for the audience.
It skips, I think, right?
It
Something like
skips, yeah.
that. So I recently interviewed DJ Willy Wonka. He's a Belize well, he's from Belize,
But he
but
lives in LA. Yeah.
right. So we were talking about cassettes.
Oh
So it's
God,
ironic.
I wasn't even around for that.
Okay, now. But I was surprised that he was talking about that because he was like cassettes and I was like, wow. So we had something to talk about in reference to that and stuff like recording on cassettes. Could you imagine? So now with you talking about CDs, you can see how music evolved, because I was there when they had records.
Records, yeah.
Yeah.
And records is actually making a comeback now because I'm seeing more and more DJs in 2023 and this year collecting more records again. So I
Hmm.
think we're probably going to see a full circle movement in the next coming years as it comes to records because they're trying to bring that back into the fold.
Really? I saw that. I think a friend of mine was saying that her daughter wanted the player, right? And when I first came here, and I think they had the see-through LPs because you used to have LPs, 45s, and all that type of stuff. But when I first came here, my first album was Mariah Carey. I bought Prince, I bought I was really into music. I thought I was gonna be slash DJ slash I don't know what I thought I was gonna be, but I love music so much because of my mom as well. So they kind of bring that down. How should I say? Not bring it down, but they kind of because of what they do, you kind of like the stuff that your parents do, so you end up doing the same thing. Um,
Yeah, something similar.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's funny because
mm,
my mom didn't want me to be in entertainment whatsoever because of how cutthroat the industry is.
yeah,
And
yeah.
parents always want better for their children, but sometimes, yeah,
Hmm.
the sins of the parents sometimes becomes the sins of the child, and here we are.
Funny you said that because the same thing with my mom. I wanted to model, and my mom used to dress up and all that stuff. And when I asked her to model, she was like, "Nope,
Uh-uh.
I don't want you naked." I was like, "What? That ruined me!" But I was still able to model for like certain fashion shows and stuff like that. How do you manage to stay organized? We were talking about that, and I'm like, Jel is so organized. Jel has never sent an email without an attachment. It's always an attachment and it's organized and you know where to get it and it's not in the body of the letter unless he has something to say. So how do you manage that? Do you have someone to curate your emails? You do everything yourself?
So it's only last year I brought in an agent to do bookings because that was probably the missing part for me. And
Mm,
this only comes with scalability. But no, I'm actually a very organized person. I'm very big on time management as well.
okay.
So taking calls, taking time in the day even to download music,
Yeah.
setting aside time to record mixes, record the little videos now because we live in a world where Instagram Reels and TikToks are very big.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's prioritizing what makes sense.
Yeah.
And for me, even like when the year starts or the ending of the previous year, I'll go sit down and say, all right, this is what I want to achieve. This is how to spend my time. And excuse.
Mm, no problem. Bless you.
Yeah. This is where you have to, thank you. This is where you have to go to, this is where you have to spend your time, and this is how much effort you have to put in. So
Okay.
it comes with a lot of sacrifice. And I guess I've just kind of been that way. Like, you know me for about what, 10 years? And in that 10 years, the formula really hasn't changed much.
Yeah.
I'm a lot busier than I was before, but the foundation is still the same. You set aside your time to do your mixes, You
Yeah.
put together the script to send Nikki, so you have the drops for the mixes. You put out your flyers, you do this, and
Yeah.
you just set aside the time. You have to know when it's time to lime and then when it's time to work.
True. That's true. And I think with you doing it over and over, it's like you kind of get used to it where you probably don't take as much time as you used to, and you get so much done within the time, if you understand what I mean. Well,
Yes and no. I think actually
yeah,
now it's even more and more hectic because of the
yeah,
growth.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
it's really just, I'll say it again, time management.
yeah.
Because people get so caught up in they want to be successful, but they don't put aside the time.
Mm,
So, and I've had to have this conversation with a few other peers in the industry. Like they want to go to the next level, but they're in, or they want to
yeah,
watch Netflix, or they
yeah.
want to do this, or they're in a relationship, which I understand.
Mm-hmm.
You have to figure out in your life where you could sacrifice the time to get to where you want to be. And a lot of people don't want to do that because
Yeah,
it's hard, right? You
yeah,
don't want to miss out on the line. You don't want to miss out on this moment. You don't want to maybe in a very demanding relationship and you want to spend time with your significant other. Like there's a lot of factors. We all live in life. We all going through things.
exactly.
But if you want it bad enough, you have to something have to give.
You have to do something, yeah. I know sometimes people sacrifice relationships because of it, as you said. You might want to spend time with someone, but they will put their life into their music, especially if, they're the underdogs and they want to take off, or they have to go travel and do different things. But you had mentioned something, and I'm sure I have it further down in my questions, but because it came up, um, you graduated in college, what, marketing and what else? Was it marketing?
Advertising. Yeah, marketing and
Marketing and
advertising. I did
advertising.
absolutely nothing in entertainment. Actually, I lie. So
Uh-huh.
the program was a communications program which focused a lot on things like video production
Mm,
and TV. So a lot
right.
of the coursework that we did would have been creating ads, creating a TV show,
Mm-hmm.
then doing a marketing campaign. So I kind of dipped my head into entertainment, but without dipping my head into like the technical parts of entertainment. So I
Okay.
didn't do audio engineering or audio production, but I did a lot more on the visual side and learning how marketing works.
Okay. Okay. But in a way, do you think what you do now, having the knowledge of marketing and what you did, the other thing that you did, do you think you kind of, in a way, incorporate it in everything that you do because you have that knowledge,
Yeah,
especially
for
marketing?
sure.
Mm,
I'll say this. Because even in university, I find university didn't prepare me enough for
mm,
marketing. Like a lot of the things I learned on my own. I learned
okay.
on YouTube. I learned, especially on YouTube, like learning how to edit video,
Yeah.
learning the importance of like branding, the different colors, all of that I would have learned. And especially social media marketing. That wasn't even a thing when I was in college. Although it was popular, like
Uh-huh.
Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, although it was prominent, it wasn't a program yet until maybe 3 years after I graduated.
Mm.
Um, but what I will say is that I did get a solid foundation. The one thing that it did help me with is come up with a logo. So this came up while I was in school. But I'm definitely using it now, and I've been using the knowledge of marketing
Okay.
because I
And your
think that's
logos,
one thing that's missing in the industry.
yeah, yeah, it definitely is because some people they don't know how to market. I think for the Caribbean, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, everybody still does this barter system where they feel like I could give you something for something instead of giving you money, or I don't need to advertise for myself. I'll just send you my music and you could do whatever you want with it. You could post it um on your social media for me. I mean, I've come across that. You could tell me,
Yeah, I think
why you
in
think that
enter
people lack marketing
in
skills.
entertainment for sure because we aren't taught it. I think that there's this big disconnect with the mature generation and
Mm-hmm.
the young generation where there's not a knowledge transfer, right?
Yeah,
So culturally in the Caribbean, I'll say, and in the diaspora, I'll say
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Mature people are looked at as the people who have all the experience and young people don't know nothing. And then there's
Yeah,
that tension, right?
yeah,
Where
yeah,
there's no knowledge transfer. Then there's another element where the mature people don't want to let go of the reign, power. So a lot of that's not being passed down. So instead
Yeah.
of saying, hey, I will take this young one or this guy or this one who have promise and build them up, instead,
Yeah.
what tends to happen, they get fight down and then the more mature person tends to reign, but that knowledge transfer is not passed. And what you
Yeah.
then have is this gap. And
Yeah.
it's across the board. It's not just in entertainment. What I've realized, especially in regards to Trinidad and Tobago, it's fashion, politics, food, agriculture, everything.
Everywhere.
And and when this more mature person dies out or retires, they just get replaced with another older person,
Older
another,
person.
and it's like the youths are not really given the proper tools or the ability to lead, and most importantly, they're not motivated, right? So if you know you're getting passed up for positions, or you have better ideas, or you have a more understanding of how this device here works, and
Yeah.
the person in power does, the person who's in charge does not, it
Mm-hmm.
becomes discouraging.
Okay. But do you I guess because I'm getting older, right? I mean, I'm
Right?
much older than you and so forth. When I look back during my time, I see what you're saying, where there was older people and you find there wasn't much younger people in certain areas. Now, when I look at today, you have a point and I get what you're saying, but I find there's a lot of younger people that's controlling different medias. Like a lot of producers are in their 20s and 30s, right?
Mhm.
You don't
Big
find
up Travis Will and Tano for sure.
exactly, yeah, you do find a lot of younger people, but I guess the power part of it, that the higher power now is probably like the older people, like the radio stations and certain, entities, you know?
I'd say yes, and so I could see where you get that. I'll
Yeah.
say this though, in artistry, right?
Mhm.
And I'll give Jack his jacket, right?
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Blacks. Big up the Roy Cape as well,
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
Stars. They would have done a lot to mentor the youth. So like the Ricardo Jews, rest in peace, Ricardo Jews, jeez.
Mm.
Tizzy, Tedison John, Voice, Irfan,
I see what you
Jaiga.
mean. Yeah.
So that would have existed. Whereas
Yeah.
now, I mean, and you could correct me if I'm wrong here, and the
Hmm.
audience can chime in as well in the comments or wherever they're watching or streaming.
Yeah.
I don't see authority figures now mentoring the youth. And although Blacks and Cape was one of them, I can't list
Yeah.
any others. Like if I
True.
were to come in the industry tomorrow as an artist, where am I going for resources? How
True.
do
You
I learn
gotta,
about the business of music? How do I
yeah.
learn about vocal variety? Where do
Yeah.
I go for production? Those things are missing.
Yeah. You basically have to pay for it, I think, other than having where something came to mind when you said that in reference to that. But it's true because the only person who did something like that once and he did a television show was Marshall.
Right.
And then after that, I think I didn't hear anything about it. It was a school for music or something that he did.
There was a little program, and I remember where it was, because
Yeah.
Digital was a major sponsor. It was a program in Jamaica where
Mm-hmm.
they took seven of the top youths in the region who
Yeah.
wanted to be in entertainment, and he did a
Yeah.
mentorship program with them. And the
Yeah.
one who won would got a track with Marshall actually. So I think it was Abdiel who won that year from Trinidad
Yeah.
and Tobago, and he got to do the remix and perform at Marshall Monday in 2018.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the only people that I see collaborate is younger people together. Maybe once in a blue moon, you'll probably find like some of the soca artists might collaborate with the younger ones, but you definitely have a point.
Yeah, there's
Um,
that major disconnect. And just to chime in really quickly, it
yeah.
worries me because myself, who is still well, perceived to be young in the industry, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still in my 20s as well. Myself, Travis, Major Penny, Chim from Barbados,
Yeah.
Saki. Um, we are studying who's next because realistically, we're watching us and we're like, okay, is anyone else interested in pursuing this? And what
Yeah.
you find most times or not is they're watching me fight on in soca and they don't want to do it. They'd
Mm-hmm.
rather run into dancehall or Afrobeat to hip hop, which is understandable, is the cooler genre, and the
Yeah.
barrier to entry is much lower. But
Mm,
who's next after us? And
yeah.
these are conversations we have all the time.
Wow. And then the people who are coming up too is if they have the resources, just like you might have had in order, because you live here. What about the kids in Trinidad who probably don't have a computer? They go into because I know one guy who does it, but he goes live from the school. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what's your process in music selections before you go to a gig?
Well, for me, I don't plan any of my sets. So unless it's like a big carnival season where I know there's a certain song that's not getting play, I might start my set with it or plan in the middle of the set to push it. Like
Okay.
last year, I could tell you that was Cast for Spite for all of the summer carnivals because there's
Yeah.
a song that didn't get much love for Trinidad Carnival last year.
Mhm.
For summer this year, I know not for summer this year, for Trinidad Carnival, sorry, it was one of them was in the center, Farmer
Mhm.
and GBM Neutron, and the other would have also been oh God, I forget the tune. The song is big now, but my selection is I don't plan my sets. Essentially, what
Okay.
I'll do is I'll show up an hour early,
Yeah.
an hour and a half early here with the previous DJ played. If I
Mhm.
can't do that, I'll ask them kindly to see the history of
Okay.
what was played so that I don't go back and repeat it.
All
Because as
right.
much as you could plan, what ends up happening is that if a DJ decided they wanted to play everything you wanted to play, what
Mm.
you're doing is repeating the music in the party, right?
Yeah, and that don't make any sense. Yeah.
And it don't make sense, but it happened.
Yeah.
Oh, and I remember the song. It was Life After Fete by Cool and Luba and Banderella. Those were the two tunes I was championing in Trinidad for Carnival. Because there
Okay.
were songs that weren't necessarily playing at the time, but got big 2 weeks leading into Carnival.
Mm. You see how you said like you don't plan your set and stuff like that? There's another question that came to mind. So let's say if you go into a particular wedding or something, you don't plan your sets for anything. You would just go in, you would know what music you
So
have,
that's
and then
that's different. So if you're
okay.
doing a wedding or a sweet 16 or any
Yeah.
private gig that
Yeah.
has structure in it,
Yeah.
obviously you'll structure the wedding, right? There's the first dance, there's the
Exactly.
father-daughter dance, the mother-son dance, the wedding party. So they will have their pre-selected songs.
Yeah.
There's certain songs in weddings so you just kind of have to play, right? To get everyone
Mhm.
involved. The cha-cha
Yeah.
slide, the electric slide. In West Indian gatherings, people love to dance to Palan, so they
Oh
will cut
gosh,
off of it in
that just
parties.
came to mind. They would not let that go.
But people, I mean, there's a time and place for it.
Yeah.
Well, they follow the leader and stuff. You could play that in weddings because
True.
in certain Caribbean weddings, where especially if the bride or the groom is West Indian and the other partner is not, it
Yeah.
helps bridge that gap, right? Because they do know commercial sound in soca. They know palance because everyone who's been on a cruise knows that plays. They know follow the leader because of the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
Jump, yeah. But other than that, no, I really don't plan. Like,
Yeah.
it's really just whatever the vibe is because you have to watch the crowd and you also have to know how to read a crowd. Being a great DJ
Exactly.
is knowing how to read the crowd.
Yeah. And that was my next question, engaging the crowd. Do you believe in that? How do you keep your audience engaged? How do you know that, you engage in them and they're having fun?
All right, so I mean, a secret I'll tell you for public gigs. The
Mm-hmm.
reason why I show up early too is because of the fan base that I have. What I will end up doing is I'll go and ask people like, "Oh, where you want to hear today?" Especially those that come up to take a picture with me, or those who are like, "Yo, child, I love your mix as well." I was like, "Oh, so what's your favorite song now? What you want to
Uh-huh.
hear later?" So
Uh-huh.
I keep that in the back of my head. So when I
Uh-huh.
go on your set now and you play the tune, they know it's for them, and then you already have a few people in the crowd whose
Yeah.
attention you have is one and two, they're already engaged because you played for them, right?
Yep.
Um, in regards to if I can't do that, then it's either MCing or working with the MC to
Mm-hmm.
introduce either certain songs or to get people going.
Okay.
My overall strategy with that is very simple. You
Mm.
play for the ladies. So you play to get them to dance. Because once the ladies are happy, everyone is happy to party.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that the last DJ said the same thing. Like I just play for the ladies, but not I mean, even though they're saying they playing for the ladies, um, they're still trying to engage everybody else and stuff like that. But mainly the ladies, because once the ladies start dancing, then the guys are gonna start dancing because they moving, you know?
Correct. Yeah, and I mean, ladies run the world, so you have to cater to them.
That's so true. Um, what's the criteria you think for a great DJ?
The criteria for a great DJ, well, it really depends.
Mm-hmm.
And I always like to make this example too, because I think just like when you have a doctor, you have
Mm.
a general doctor, then you have a doctor that has different
Yeah.
specializations, right?
Yeah.
You have a podiatrist, which is responsible for the feet. You have a cardiologist, which is responsible for the heart. You have a neurologist, which is responsible for the brain and the nervous system. So
Yeah.
same goes for DJing, in my opinion, right?
Mm.
You could have a great general format DJ that plays open format, plays any genre, could touch on anything. But then you could also have a club DJ, a fete DJ, a road DJ, which is
Yeah.
very important too, because playing for road and playing for club is two different environments. So I think it depends on the type of DJ, but every DJ should have the ability to educate and entertain. Should be able to get people to move.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've heard you talk about your soca mixes, and there's one major thing that you're supposed to be doing. So a great soca mix should entail what? That will always haunt you because that's part of you,
Yeah, it really is though, and I've been trying to campaign it for years now.
which is
A
great.
checklist. If you're doing mixes in this day and age and you're releasing them on SoundCloud or YouTube or wherever you're releasing your mixes, you must have a checklist thing.
Yeah.
When people listen to mixes, they're listening to learn the music. Most times they want to learn for the carnival or their gym, or they just want to hear something different to add to their playlist.
Yeah.
'Cause a lot of people stream, they go on Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music. And most times when they hear it in a mix, they're like, well, I want to add this to my playlist. This is a real good tune.
Yeah.
And half the time when they're looking for it, they can't find it. There's apps like Shazam where you could press, but it doesn't always pick up the song. So what I've done is I've invested a lot of time and effort and energy into making sure that's available online, whether it's in the description on SoundCloud, the description on YouTube, or on my website. So
Yeah.
that way you could see who sang the song, the name of the song, etc. Um, and that came out of frustration too, because I listen to a lot of mixes too. As much
Uh-huh.
as I put out, I also consume things too. And
Mm.
when I listen to a mix and I can't find a song, it's like the most frustrating thing.
It's so frustrating, especially when you want to know the producers. Well, first of all, you're not really gonna know the producer, but now some people might include the producer depending on who it is with the song, the musician. Yeah. But
Correct.
it really, really helps, especially when you want to play that song over and over or something.
Yeah, it bothers a lot of people. I really love this song, but I don't know who sing it.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
everyone makes up their lyrics.
Like the other day when you played that with the guy who was singing the song,
The
I didn't understand it.
islands.
And then when you played it, I was like, oh, that's what he's singing. And then I heard it. I was like, oh, okay, 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 okay. That's what he's trying
But
to say.
yeah, and that's what people do all the time. I get countless messages. Jel, you know this song? And they're singing the wrong lyrics. And I just listened 2, 3 times to the voice note, and I was like, oh, this is the song you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it happens.
Yeah. Have you had a time that you made a mix and you're like, this mix is crap. I gotta do it over?
Yes,
Oh, you
all the
have.
time. Oh, all the time.
What? But
A
doesn't
lot
it
of
take a
the
lot of time to do it
It
over?
does. So there was a year where I did Soca Takeover. I think it was either 2018 or 2019, and I said, this is shit. So what I will do is I will just stop and do it over.
Do it
There
over.
are mixes I have put out that I'm not satisfied with.
Mm.
And it's funny, the ones I'm never satisfied with are the ones that have the most plays or download in that calendar year.
But do you know why that happens? Like you don't like it and they might like it. Or are you a perfectionist? So that's why when you don't put too much effort, maybe that's the one that's the hit because you just went with it.
So there are a lot of DJs that will tell you this, like Musical Mix is the next one. He
Hmm.
put out a mix just for putting it out sake. He had
Yeah,
no expectation. His most listened to mix on YouTube. I think it was a Bessa Marshall or something, and he didn't anticipate it to do so well.
and it
I
did.
think that, yeah, I mean, as DJs, we are perfectionists, but also I think we overthink a lot, right? What we may think is shit or what we may think is not good,
Yeah.
someone else might be like, this is the greatest thing in the world. And
Hmm.
it's the same for artists too. Like a lot of artists who I would have consulted with or said, hey, you need to push this tune.
Yeah.
Like the year Lyrical had Look Back. Lyrical wanted to push every other song but Look Back. I had to
Except
bully
that.
the man in several shows. I say, Look Back is one of your biggest songs. I've been playing it for Nothing Hill Carnival. I've been playing it in Canada. I've been playing it here, and the response is ridiculous. He's like, yeah, Jel, I go push it, I go push it.
And he ain't
But
pushing it.
he ain't push it till it started to play on radio in Trinidad.
Uh-huh.
And then he's like, oh shucks.
Then
That's
he
when he came
realized,
out. But yeah, a lot of artists is the same process. They're thinking that, this tune is so special. I just put it out for putting it out, see, not
yeah.
knowing that's their monster song. So it's the same thing. We get caught up in the creative zones that we sometimes forget. What we do is not for us alone, it's for the
Mm,
people. And if it resonates with the people who put you in these places, we have to do it for them. If
mm.
that's the response you're getting, that's where you need to put your energy.
It's working. Yeah, yeah. Um, have you had any challenging moments on set where you playing live and maybe something happened and you had to recover it really quick?
All the time. Sometimes currents, especially for those who party in New York, current just goes sometimes, you know. Especially when you have these outdoor events and they don't have a generator, or they blow the current goes or surge protector, forget the
Blows
word.
or something. Yeah.
Blows, right.
Mm,
That happens and you have to figure out how to recover quickly.
mm,
Um, letting the crowd know what happened, communicating first and foremost, thanking them for coming out, sending them to the
yeah.
bar. Like, yeah, you have to think quick on your feet and just know how to handle it. And most importantly, what I've had to learn,
Yeah.
because sometimes I will get flustered, you just have to
Mm.
learn how to keep your cool.
Exposure.
Because
Yeah.
people will see you looking flustered and you're not realizing it because you're like, oh God, what happened? What happened? You just have
Yeah.
to remain calm and
Yeah.
then
Hmm. That just reminded me the other day I went live and I had everything. I prepared everything, my questions, my news, my everything. But I'm used to having it in front of me. And I had it on my phone and everything disappeared. And I was like, well, but the good thing is when you write your stuff, you remember. Well, I remember. So I was like, okay. And then I went bap, 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 and it's a confidence. So once you have that confidence, it helps as well, because sometimes when you panic, you tend to forget.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so you're just so boat ride, right?
hmm
You have it in Trinidad, you've had it in New York. You had it in
hmm
Trinidad, right? Of course.
Yeah, so Justin Trinidad is the online all-inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
So this would have been the second year I had it.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's a concept that people like because it's different.
yeah.
We market heavily on the music and the food aspect of it
Mm-hmm.
because in addition to music, I'm also very passionate about food.
Yeah.
And what I realized that's missing in the market, a lot of people don't invest in it, right?
Mm,
So they don't invest in having enough food for their patrons. People going to parties, they hear the same music over and over. And
yeah.
as a DJ, you kind of have this experience, right? You've played in all these parties, you
Mm-hmm.
see what's in the market and what's missing, and then you're like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna continue to play for this event, and they're not doing this. I could do it better, and that's
Yeah.
kind of how the idea was born.
Yeah. I've gone to both and I had a blast. The line was super long. By the time we got there, I mean, there's a lot of people. Like the first time I went there, I was like, thank God I had a ticket and I get to pass the line or whatever. But then the second one we went to, I was in line with my cousins and stuff. We waited, and then they couldn't wait to get their cups. They couldn't wait to get their food. Then we got the pictures, and we went straight up and just enjoyed the music. So what my question was is, would you take it around the globe? You think at some point in time,
So
being
the
that you're an international DJ and you have so many people in
yes, so
Japan and all those places.
yeah, right now where the focus is where people stream. So one thing that people don't really know about me is that I'm a very data-driven person. So
Mm,
I go and look at the stats almost every week to see where people are listening from.
hmm.
And the reason why I took New York and Trinidad is because that's where the streams come from. The
Okay.
other place where there's a huge amount of streams and listenership is actually Toronto.
Okay.
So look, Toronto team, look out for Justo very soon. But yeah, the plan is to do that, but it has to make sense and there has to be the
Yeah.
support in those regions as well.
Okay. Definitely has to make sense. So now we get into the part of food. How do you keep your figure? I see you eating food. I'm not sure if you're eating all of it. And I'm like, This boy, where the food going in his tour? What going on?
Well, I'm still lucky that in my 20s I have a fast metabolism, so I burn
Yeah.
that out pretty fast. But I mean, I don't always eat everything. Believe it or
Okay.
not, I don't eat everything you see on camera. And
Mm.
there's always other people behind the shot, by the way. So I'm
Okay.
not just ordering all this food, I'm actually sharing it amongst the people with me.
Okay. Okay.
But majority of them are camera shy. So once in a while, you'll
Ah.
see that there might be this friend who I have in this particular town that will take me to this place, that place, that place.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then sometimes it'll just be me
Mm.
and this person, but they don't want to be on camera.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen other people with you. But you know, some people, like I know if I eat like a doubles and this and that, like ladies get bloated, you know? And I know I mean, when I was younger, I could eat anything and I was super small,
Mm.
you know? But when I see you
Yeah.
eat the food, I'm like, how Gel maintain his weight now? I guess if
Fast,
you go to the
fast
gym or whatever.
metabolism, gym, walking. I mean, right before this interview, I took my evening walk. So
Ah,
yeah, yeah, I mean, you still have to exercise, right? And you
yeah.
also have to, it's balance. So for me, it's
Mm,
also making sure that I eat as much fruits and veggies as much as I eat the bad stuff. It's
mm,
having that balance because you can't always eat bad all the time. But when
true.
it's time to eat bad, you can.
That's true. So you are from, well, of course, you're from Trinidad and Tobago, and your roots is from Cuba. Could you just tell us a bit about that, when you go home, how it is to you, what you do, some of the interesting things that you might do, let's say on a vacation, if you ever was able to get on vacation while you were at home.
Ah, um, well, big up everyone from Central Trinidad. For me, I'll be very honest,
Mm.
and I mean most Trinidadians could identify with this. Everything for me is food. Like I don't when you land, that's what Piako International
Okay.
Airport, and everyone does rush the food court and go and get the doubles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit of a food snob, so I find the best doubles in Trinidad and Tobago is in the East.
Ah,
Well, that can I even consider Care of the East, right? Big up Ken's, big up Sauce. I know everyone's gonna say the best double is probably in South or Sugarnuts Market, but I disagree.
now
But
some
no
people
Trini,
say
no
Cuba.
Trini, no Trinis could agree where have the best doubles.
True, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, only
Cool.
here people would do Trin City. That's the best one for me. I haven't gone to any other really.
Trini Delight is good on Liberty Avenue.
Okay.
And Tropical Jade #3 and #4 also have good doubles as well.
All
Big up
right.
Trin City though. Their marketing is on point. Their bacon
Yes.
shack is really good.
Mm,
Even their bus up shot I like as well. But the line
yeah.
is too long.
Yeah, it's super long. I used to go to Sings, but I'll go
Mm,
to Sings for food. And
mm.
there's a place in Queens that I used to go to. I think it was 101 Street or something. There was a food spot there, but that was so long ago. I can't remember the name of it, but it was really, really good. Before I knew about Sings and Liberty.
But in
And
terms of like what I do for if I do get the chance to vacation or relax, is
yeah.
basically running around eating food and maybe going down the islands or.
Hmm.
But in terms of Central, I could tell you Corn Cap. Corn Cap is some of the best pork you will get,
Uh-huh.
and they recently opened something that's called the Food Port, which I haven't been to yet, but it's in Cuba. It's a
Yeah.
similar concept to like the food square they have in Port of Spain.
Hmm.
You have different vendors selling food and different items that you can go and check out.
All right. Do you think at any point you yourself would probably open some type of food or, invest in that in some way?
No, but I can tell you what's next. I can tell
Yeah.
you that the reason why I'm doing all these food things is two reasons. One, I have a huge interest in food tourism and food tourism marketing, and I think that we as Trinbagonians have not done a good job in
Mm,
investing in our tourism product and especially food. Like other Caribbean islands, and no disrespect to Barbados and
yeah.
Grenada and Antigua and whoever else tried to claim the title that they're the culinary capital of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Trinidad and Tobago is the most diverse country in the Caribbean. We have people from all over
Mm,
Africa, India, China, Syria, the Middle East, Venezuela, Europe, France, and the cooking styles are very reflective. Like
yeah.
you could eat food for days, and then this new wave migration of the people from Thailand and people from Bangladesh and people from Ghana and Nigeria who've all come and touched Trinidad.
Hmm.
So That's one major thing I want to work on is something within food tourism to get more people to travel to Trinidad and Tobago to
Oh,
try it.
nice.
And that's
Okay.
why I'm really doing this whole project. I
Okay.
will do other things in the food space. Like
Mm,
there's other things I'm working on which I can't announce yet, but
that's
there's is a
fine.
part of a plan.
Yeah.
So I'm not just eating food for eating food's sake. There's a strategy
I
behind it.
figured they always say there's parts to the jigsaw puzzle until it comes together, you know? Yeah. Your performance style sets you apart, right? And you incorporate music that isn't always popular in rotation and stuff like that. So tell us about your style and, how you came about doing what you do.
I mean, I learned from the greats, so I have to give Jack his jacket again. Big up Back to Basics, big up DJ Spice, big up Chaotic International,
Yeah.
and well, in most recent times, Private Ryan. All of these DJs, oh, and Dr. J, I'll forget Dr. J from Toronto too. All these DJs I would have looked up to and listened to at some point in time, whether it's party, whether it's radio, whether it's podcasts, and what I would have learned from them, especially basics, in
Mm-hmm.
watching him perform in these various parties, is that sometimes you have to take the risk and play the music that people don't want to play because you as a DJ could make or break a hit. And I still think that reigns true today. Yes, we have streaming. Yes, it has Spotify, and you can discover music on Spotify. But within our genre of soca,
Yeah.
DJs still have a little bit of power to make a song big. And one thing for me growing up, and anyone who's Trini will know this, is that I was very reluctant, or we were reluctant to accept music from up the islands,
Oh gosh,
the
yes.
rest of the Caribbean.
Mm,
Although it had the international soca monarch and it maybe had one or two, it
yeah.
had like Skinny or Bomani or the whole Bajan invasion with Edwin Yearwood, Square One, and Alison Hines. It
Yeah.
didn't have much music from up the islands that would have played in Trinidad. But
Mm,
in the circuit, as you know, the international circuit, you have people from all over. You have people from St. Kitts, St. Vincent, Barbados, Grenada, Antigua, and you would have been exposed to that music one way or another in any carnival within the diaspora.
yeah.
So I always made it my mission to do that because the other islands never felt included. And when you have these conversations with people, Jel, I really love this, but I don't ever hear music from Antigua. Or I don't hear music from St. Kitts. So I don't hear music from the Virgin Islands. And
Yeah.
I'd like to say that in doing what I did in the short space of time as I've been in the industry,
Mm-hmm.
there has been changes. Like, look now, everyone is working together.
True.
Adamo is doing work with Nadia. Red Boys in Barbados is producing a lot of the hits for Trinidad.
Yeah.
A lot of the writers in Trinidad are also writing for Antigua. So they
And
now,
Grenada
soca is,
come
yeah,
together a lot with Trinidad to, yeah.
and St. Vincent too. So
Yeah.
a lot of that is now being worked on. I think we could still do more because
Yeah.
I think everyone from up the islands outside of Trinidad wants to collaborate with artists in Trinidad without focusing on their neighbors, right? So
Mm,
artists from St. Vincent isn't necessarily thinking to collaborate with someone from Barbados, which is like a not even a 15-minute flight.
mm,
So I think more of that needs to be done, but based on the work that I would have put in and some of the other DJs, we've
yeah.
gotten to a place where we're now more accepting and tolerant of soca from other islands.
Other islands, which is true because when I first heard Grenadian music and I wasn't used to it, it's weird to say, but I was scared because I didn't know what they were singing. I didn't know. It just sounded
Oh,
like,
what song was that? Old Woman We Taking Home My Tall
no. Oh my God. No, I can't remember what song it was, but back then it just used to sound like jumpy music, like just, I don't know, you had to know what they were singing and the beat and everything, and then it just evolved, just like how Kaiso evolved, soca, that type of thing. I didn't like it back then. I gotta admit, my thing was mostly reggae, hip hop, R&B. And then when the new wave came, like lyrical and Nyla and all that stuff, I like it. I started liking it more because Kaiso back then was more political to me.
Yeah.
And at that age, it it was more centered around, like when we did our common entrance and all that, we had to write about Bondem and all these different type of soca songs.
Wait.
Don't say nothing.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I look young, but
Yeah, because,
just
well, essentially, but also, well, you
mm,
would have known by then Ras Shorty would have created
yes,
that distinction with soca versus
yes.
calypso because calypso only focused a lot on the West African storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And with all the political and racial tensions in the country, you would
Yeah.
know soca was created to kind of bridge the gap between the two. But it
Mm-hmm.
still took a while for it to even get popular.
Yeah, it
And
did.
then Marshall come in and have to fight everyone because just like now, we're still fighting in
Yes.
Trinidad and Tobago and in the region for soca to be more popular than dancehall because dancehall
Mm-hmm.
has still a strong stronghold in the Caribbean.
Yeah. But do you think, is it because Jamaicans work together as opposed to Trinidad? Or what do you think is the reason why it's
That's part, well, Jamaicans support their own product. That's number one. Like you
mm,
could go on Apple Music, top 100 right now, and majority of the charts, with the exception of maybe four songs, are
yeah,
dancehall or
yeah.
reggae. And number two, soca is a seasonal genre in a lot of these Caribbean islands. So after Carnival is done, you're not seeing it. I mean, St. Vincent might be an exception, and
Mm,
Grenada might be an exception, but other Caribbean countries, and maybe even Dominica, because of who we all know,
yeah.
how it's evolved. But like if you check Trinidad's top 100, it might have maybe one or two soca songs. And
Mm,
for the Mecca of soca, for the creators, we created this thing. We are not defending our product. You can't right now. I mean, it's Holy Week, but you can't even go into a bar or a lounge or a club and hear soca right through in the country, and
but
that's a problem.
yeah, but do you think, I was just about to ask that, do you think because of Lent that kind of made it seasonal? Because for 2 months
It,
or so we can't play soca and we
I
would
mean,
play
it has a part.
reggae music and all
It
that?
have a part to play, but
Mm,
I could also argue, and I've argued this before.
mm-hmm.
We don't want to play our own local product, but it's okay to play a genre that, and no disrespect to anyone that loves dancehall and reggae because it's one Caribbean, right? But
Yeah.
in terms of the logic of Trinbagonians,
Mm,
of our people,
mm-hmm.
how it making sense to play music that promotes killing and violence during Lent, but we can't play we own music that encourages having fun and unity and peace
Mm-hmm. And love,
and
though it
love. And
might be.
the same goes for hip hop and all the other genres that were acceptable to play during Lent. Because not
Yeah,
everyone observes Lent. Obviously, there's Hindus and Muslims in Trinidad and atheists as well, right? So they have the
yeah,
different religions and they're still listening. That listening public is still listening when they're not fasting.
yeah,
So why are we not playing more local soca, calypso, chutney, pan?
exactly. Yeah. Hmm. Especially groovy. I mean, groovy is not like you're gyrating and anything. Groovy is just, I
No,
mean,
you could
even though it's
play. I
different
mean,
beats, but
there's a lot of music you could play, but
mm,
because now people have become so programmed to after carnival, we don't need to hear soca again. That's kind
yeah,
of been the biggest deterrent. Whereas in Jamaica, there's no off switch for dancehall and reggae, right?
yeah. It's so embedded in us, or even in me. When a soca comes on, I think it was only this year I kind of relax. As soon as a soca come on, let's say on my phone or whatever, I take it off because I get so used to it. But now that I'm in the industry, it's like I know I have to listen to it because I have to listen to upcoming music and I listen to the mixes every time. Let's say you make a mix or anybody make a mix, I would listen to it whether I'm taking a shower or driving and stuff because I want to hear what let's say my clients or friends or whatever they putting out there. But other than that, they would say, "Oh, you can't play that type of music." So my next question is, what other country would you like to tour? Because here I wrote down DJ Jel has shared his love for soca music in various stages across the globe, including cities such as Port of Spain, Bridgetown, Sydney, London, Miami, New York, Toronto, Edmonton, Houston. I know you've been to Japan.
You rarely read that press kit.
Let me tell you something. When I do my interviews, I break it down because it's
Right.
it's you. I want to dissect so people not just getting a small portion of you,
Hmm.
like
They get the full
getting
picture.
everything to know who you are, how you work, and that type of stuff. They just hear
Yeah.
mixes and thinking, but I want them to get the real you.
Yeah, there's a lot of places I played. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
big up Japan, and I know this year I'm doing Malta as well.
Oh, nice.
Um, where would I like to see soca next is a real good question.
Mm,
For actually no, I have an answer.
mm.
So, and this is even a strategic answer because we all know the success of Afrobeats right now. I
Yes.
think that we need to target more of the African countries because there's no lie, there's a similarity between soca music and Afrobeats. I mean, soca in its form is African. Yes, it have the little sprinkle of the East Indian influence in it, which obviously makes it ours and the
Yes.
regions by extension. But there is a lot of similarities between the two. I
Mm-hmm.
think that we do need to focus on the motherland countries. So even India, I know big up Kashav and big up Marshall. I know they went India before and spread the
Yeah.
love out there.
Did. Mm-hmm.
So we need to focus on the two motherlands. The continent of Africa is a little tricky, but I would say
Yeah.
Ghana, Nigeria, and South Africa,
Oh,
and
nice.
maybe some of the smaller ones like Malawi and there's a big one. I don't. It's either the Republic of Congo or
Mm-hmm.
Zambia. And I'm
Mm,
saying this because they stream our music. Like when I watch these stats again, right? So I could tell who's listening to the mixes. I
yeah.
see Ghana come up in the fold, big up my Ghana team. I've seen
Yeah.
Nigeria come up, and I've seen these other smaller, weirder countries come up too.
All right. But what about Kenya? Have you seen?
Kenya is another one too. It
Okay.
doesn't pop up as often, but Kenya is there.
Okay.
And oh God, how I forget it, Sierra Leone. They had a big
Ah.
presence on Uber Soca as well too. And from what I understand and from what they've told me, Sierra Leone people listen to a lot of soca. Like they're familiar with Edwin Yearwood,
Mm-hmm.
Crossfire, The Bajan Invasion, and a lot of Marshall songs. So
Yeah.
I think that we don't spend enough time in those regions. I know Lyrical would have toured there in 2022,
Mm-hmm.
but we need to really figure out how to bridge that gap with people who already listen to the genre but don't get
Yeah.
it as often
Yeah.
and collaborate with them.
Okay. Yeah, because I interviewed two brothers, and Willy Wonka was a part of that brotherhood, and touring with them and stuff like that. And they said that they wanted to get into soca music, you know? Yeah. I think they no, they did a song. They did a song, but because Afrobeats just took off, then they stayed with the Afrobeats. And they originally from Nigeria, but I think they're living in California right now. They used to live in New York, and then the name
Yeah,
of the group is It's ENJ. I don't know if
think
you've
I've
heard
heard
of
of them
them.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
Tamaya, no, Tamaya, before the Afrobeats thing blew up, Tamaya had four soca songs. He
mm-hmm,
even finagled one of the local producers, advocates for Kip Israel, to
mm-hmm.
do a Afrobeats film, which did well in his country too. So, but we just need more of that cross-pollination,
Oh, yeah, we
having
definitely.
our artists, even if it's not a big artist, if it's a smaller African artist that's looking to break through, we need those bridges because that's how you grow the genres, right?
Yeah.
We can't continue to remarket to the same people, same
True.
carnival. In order to grow, we have to do what essentially what Cass is doing. Cass has his collaborations with some of the French Caribbean artists.
Mm-hmm,
He would have done something with a Haitian artist recently. I think his name is Kai.
mm-hmm.
He did something with Shaggy, which is a completely different audience, Jamaica.
Yeah, yeah,
Something with Jay Perry. So these are the things you really need to start looking at. Like, how could we collaborate with other people outside the genre that does similar things or Cass's words, make the world wine and grow the audience because we could continue to remarket to ourselves. That's great, but
Mhm.
we're not really growing.
True. I'm gonna take a quick break, and we'll play one of your videos, and then we'll come right back so at least people could see who DJ Jel is.
Way better. That sounds like the drop.
All right, keep it locked.
What is this scene on there? It's DJ Jel, the soca analyst. And you don't know, we're here at Soca Brainwash, New York. Game of Thrones, one of the biggest soca festivals in the world, is here in New York. I'll be on stage in 3, 2, 1.
Bring it on next. We got the baddest DJ. Make some noise for DJ Jel.
DJ Jel.
Take a shot and just free up now.
Anybody who love and enjoy soca music right now, you are here brainwashed to enjoy soca. All you put on your hands in the air.
You know,
Welcome back to Table Talk Show on islandvibe.net. You're here with Nikki G, the voice, and I'm interviewing DJ Jel. If you miss any part of the show, you could go back. It's recorded. You could go on the radio station as well. We're also on Apple, we're on so many different platforms. You'll see all the links below. If you're driving and you can't view it, you'll be able to go and listen to it as well. Okay, it's Apple Podcasts. So Jel, welcome back. We just showed a video of Jel on like you've done Private Ryan before and his thing. How was that? How was the experience with working with Private Ryan?
Well, experiences, because I've done a few. I would
A
have
few.
done a few soca brainwashes and soca starters.
Mm,
It's always good, you know. I mean, I know people have their things to say about people who doing well in the industry and at the top, but I've never had a bad experience working for Ryan. Pays me on time, always professional venues.
yeah.
There's a lot of details put in, and his team is phenomenal. Like, I'm always excited to play for one of his events because I know I'll be handled correctly, and there's a level of professionalism within the team. The
Yeah.
crowd is always good too. There's a certain caliber of people that will come out because we do know there's a price point with his events. So
Yes.
those people with their disposable income that are able to afford it will go, and the vibes just be nice, man.
Yeah. And since we're on the topic of Trinidad, let's go to Trinidad and the music and carnival and so forth. How was carnival this past carnival season?
Challenging. And I'm being honest, the carnival season is very short. For
Mm,
those who don't know, our carnival is centered around the Lenten calendar. So
yeah.
wherever Ash Wednesday falls, the Monday and Tuesday before that is our carnival. So
Mm-hmm.
normally it falls either the end of February or early March, but
Yeah.
this year it was incredibly early. It was the 12th and 13th,
Mm-hmm.
and Valentine's Day was Ash Wednesday.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So because of the seasonality of our music,
Mm,
um, a lot of songs would have gotten lost in the fold because of how we would have done things in the past.
mm-hmm.
Meaning, because Christmas is a big thing in Trinidad and Tobago, we like to get the music to breathe for Christmas. So a parang, Christmas soca, Christmas carols, whatever you want to call it, that has to play.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trinbagonians love Christmas. So Christmas is a big thing. Going
Yeah.
paranging house to house, you're baking your ham, your sweet bread, you're cleaning the house, you name it. So you have essentially this now learning curve because soca music also releases for Carnival or the upcoming Carnival around that time and maybe even September, October.
Yeah.
This Carnival season, a lot of the music came out late.
Mm,
So I don't think our artists realized that Carnival was so early this year and that the learning curve for the music or having the music out late kind of hindered their progress. Meaning, people are taking a longer time to learn the music. So if you're releasing a song, let's say Boxing Day or New Year's Day, January 1st, you're
yeah.
essentially giving people maybe 3 weeks to learn the music because Carnival is very, very early. And then the Panorama, the bands have to pick their songs ahead of time.
Yeah.
So with all this music releasing so quickly, I think that a lot of the consumers or the people who consume music didn't have a informed decision as to what was really out there for the season. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
Two, those that did release early, because I have to give credit again, big up Mikel Teja,
Yes, he
Road March
released
winner.
out the gate early.
DNA came out October, mid-October, and I mean it ran through Tobago Carnival as well. He had a big campaign in Tobago for Carnival in October. It would
Yeah.
have been, I think, Halloween weekend, the 28th weekend, 31st.
Mm-hmm.
And that song, along with Nadia Batson's Market, were the two songs that dominated Tobago Carnival and actually ended up dominating the Trinidad Carnival season as well.
Oh yeah, he did.
People know those songs because Nadia, I think, has the most views on YouTube for her song, which I think stands at like 4 million now.
Wow.
And DNA not far behind it. So
Yeah.
because they released early, they were able to capitalize on that momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Nadia released in September, Tasha released 2 weeks later in October.
Yeah.
And because of that, they were able to have a successful carnival season, amongst other things too.
Mm-hmm.
They marketed their releases, they had visuals, they did things on TikTok, they engaged with their audience, they made sure their songs were available for streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Things that I think a lot of our artists struggle with today.
Yes.
So with So with that, I think that the takeaways here is that early bird catches the worm, and that if you're really serious about being an artist, you have, or a producer for that matter, or a writer, you have to figure out a way to, one, market your music, and two, strategize when you want to release. Don't just drop music for dropping music's sake.
True.
Have a plan.
Yeah, because when I know Kes, he's always bringing songs, and he released a lot of songs during the year. But when he released, I think it was 3 songs he did one morning in the radio
Mhm.
station, and I was like, why wasn't this out before?
Yeah,
I'm a huge Kes fan, huge.
yeah.
And all those songs that he brought out, I was like, it was so sweet, but I was like, why so late?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was upset too because there's a Pan song that he brought that he would have
Mhm.
entered Panorama with that I saw on the list for the prelims.
Mhm.
I was like, but this song ain't even out yet. How they have a cast song that's not out? Long the only song comes out 2 weeks later, but by
Yeah.
then, no one knows the song. DNA is already in the lead.
Mhm.
Inventor is not far behind, and people have already decided.
Yeah.
But Cass is an anomaly because at the time of this recording, by the way, for those who
Mhm.
are locked in, Cass would have been in the process of dropping his album. His album drops this Friday.
Mhm.
Today, when we're recording it, is Wednesday. So I
Nice.
know there's a strategy behind that. I know that
Always. Yeah.
regardless of the fact of how he drops music, they're gonna drop an album and hit the international market. But I do agree, all those things should have probably come out earlier. At least the things he wanted to drop for Carnival and hold
Yeah.
back the things for the album, so that way you could get your other listening music throughout the year.
Yeah. But what do you think about our competitions that we don't have anymore? Like, what is the reason for them not having it? And should it be a staple?
Oh,
I mean, it's
we
that.
don't even have enough time in this podcast to talk about that. I'll say this, and
Uh-huh.
and just to go back really quickly with the releases, you see how you feel about Cass? I feel the
Yeah.
same way about Bungie. Bungie did a big disservice to himself this year too.
Yes. He came out
Bungie
late
dropped
as well.
about 15 songs between
Mm-hmm.
December 1st
Mm-hmm.
and January 15th.
Hmm.
And it was impossible for people to learn the music. Like impossible.
Yeah.
The fact that Carnival contract picked up the way it did, I think it was pure luck. Because the listening audience, let alone the DJs, because we have to go through this as well, we didn't know what to pick.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now, as we're on the topic of the competition and the road match race with Bungie, with Carnival contract,
Yeah.
you mentioned the International Soca Monarch.
Yes.
Now, let me tell you something. It's a very simple solution.
Hmm.
For those who don't know, the International Soca Monarch is led by the Caribbean Prestige Foundation, which is Ricky Ragunan and other partners.
Mm-hmm.
They are actually a private organization that has partial funding from the Trinidad and Tobago government.
Okay.
Now, the reason why International Soca Monarch is not being done right now is because this group claims that they don't have enough funds to keep it,
Funding.
which, if you look at it, you have to cut your costs, right? You
Mm-hmm.
can't have the big production you had in 2005, 2006, 2011. Cut it down and start from scratch, or create a different proposal and go back to the government and say this is what we'll need for funding.
Yeah.
Or you get additional corporate sponsors to fund it if you can't have it yourself. You don't just cancel it. Another thing that can happen too, let's say the Caribbean Prestige Foundation say they're not doing it again next year.
Mm-hmm.
Another organization who has the funding, or even a private organization like, I don't know, Digicel,
Pick it up.
Angostura,
Yeah.
Carib, could have their own competition. It doesn't have to be called Soca Monarch. It could be a
Yeah.
Soca Rumble, a Soca Showdown. Just have a different name and still have the competition, because International Soca Monarch was a platform that gave a lot of the newer generation and the youths and some of the established artists power.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that with that missing, along with Soca Star, which is another competition that would have happened in Trinidad and Tobago too, there's no platform for the youths. And this goes
Yeah.
back to the earlier part of my discussion. Within entertainment and outside entertainment, there isn't that knowledge transfer and there isn't that platform for youths to excel.
Exactly. Especially without Soca Mana. I mean, I grew up not going to it, but hearing about it. I went to it a couple of times.
I
Going back
watched
home,
it on
bless you.
TV. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah, and something like that for Trinidad to be the mecca of soca and carnival and all that.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know, sometimes, I mean, not sometimes, but people say Trinidadians are proud people. I think,
Mm.
I don't know if the proudness is getting to us where we feel there's certain things that we don't need to do.
I
I don't.
think it's a multifaceted problem.
Mm-hmm.
One is definitely corruption by far,
Yeah.
because corruption is the reason why this show is not taking place, right?
Hmm.
The next thing is that we don't feel empowered, right? So thinking, oh no, Soca Monarch, so we complain, 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 and depend on the government for a lot.
Mm.
But one thing I learned in COVID, the government never really stepped up to do anything in regards to the COVID carnival situation. It was private organizations.
Mm.
So for those who remember Backyard Jam, my farm and happy, that won the virtual road march. That
Yeah.
competition was held by B Mobile.
Mm.
Then, when they had all these private shows, Digital, Caribe had Cider, Angostura, White Oak, they all sponsored these artists. Like
Mm.
Nadia got sponsors for her show in Five Islands that she pre-recorded. Patrice had her I Am Woman that was
Oh
sponsored
yeah,
by Pirate Bear.
we had that.
Nowhere was NCC or Pension Bago or any of these government-funded organizations present. What
Hmm.
they did was spend about, I think, 31 million TT dollars on these pods, and that was the carnival for everyone.
Oh yeah, I remember when they had the pods. I
Yeah,
think I
but
remember Voice singing and a couple other people, yeah.
yeah, well, even with the pods, Voice had a physical show, but Digicel,
Mm.
another private entity, was responsible for sponsoring most of that show because you know why?
Mm.
The private entities understand the cultural elements of carnival and as well as the money generated and the return. They
Yeah,
know that if they invest in these cultural events and they get the branding and the signage and the people, they will get a positive return on their investment.
exactly.
For whatever reason, NCC, Pension Bago, the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts were not present. Visit Trinidad, not present.
That is crazy. I don't understand that.
So I
I
said all
don't-
of that to say
Mm.
that if we continue to depend on the government to come and save everybody, it's not going to work. I think that in order for things to change, whether it's in entertainment, fashion, politics, food, it has to be private entities. And I think that people have to start their non-government organizations or for-profit organizations to actually have real change.
But then you had mentioned something, and I saw you. Well, I saw an interview with you talking about it. So I don't really want to go into that per se, but I would say it has something to do with the soca mafia type thing that's going on.
I mean, that's part
As you
of it.
say, you could talk about that for days and days and days, but just to summarize.
So that's part of what is the soca mafia, as people would be asking? It's a group of people or organization or establishment that would control radio play or party play.
Mm-hmm.
This would have existed maybe years ago where digital media wasn't as present as it is now. So it would have been more traditional media, radio, TV, newspaper. But now they don't have as much power. I'll say that because now we have Spotify, have TikTok, there are many avenues you could go and market your music.
True.
You need the traditional. Where what I think still exists though within the mafia is this Piola thing.
Mm,
And Rome would have touched on this last carnival where
mm,
he was approached by a radio station, not the one that he owns, by the way,
mm-hmm.
a station within the Boom Champions family. I think it's Lit One.
Okay.
But where our radio station reached out to him with rates on how he can get his song played. So that still exists. People still do take envelopes or we'll have backdoor conversations with, hey, you could play my song for me now every hour on the hour. Like that still exists. But
Yeah.
say the mafia or the proposed mafia that 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 people were part of years ago still has power? I don't think so. But
Hmm.
does the mafia have anything to play within Soca Monarch and all of that? I think we as individuals, if we really wanted to do something, we can.
Hmm.
It's just to get it together and make it happen because
And
we
make it happen.
can't depend on the government for everything.
All right. So concentrating on the music, but we don't have to go too much in depth on it. Everybody was complaining, even though it was a slow season, bless you. we still have this thing about certain people are not getting their music played, and this year a lot of artists live saying what they had to say and stuff like that in reference to the music, but a lot of people
All the name is Trinidad Killer.
yeah. I get it. So yeah, Killer was live, and a couple of other people was live, and they were talking about their music not being played and other people's music's not being played and so forth. But and people talking about the soca mafia and all these different things. But when you're on the road, when you're playing on the road, a free space, and you playing for the patrons who's in the band, how do you select the music? Like do they tell you have to play these particular songs, or you can play whatever song you want? Because they keep on saying they wasn't hearing songs that they wanted to hear.
Well, I can only talk for you, Mom, but I said this earlier to in the interview as well. Remember, I said there's a DJ for different occasions.
Yes.
So a truck DJ is one of them. How you play on the road is
Mm.
completely different from how you play in a party or how you play in a club. And I'll tell you why. On the road, you can't get away with playing the same 15 songs because people over the truck all day, they're going to notice.
Of
In a
course.
party, yes, you're drunk, but on the road, which is a long stretch, especially in Trinidad, we start from as early as 7 a.m. going
Oh
right
gosh,
down to
yeah.
9, 10 o'clock in the night. They're
Very
going to
early.
notice. And there's different parts of the road too. Because there's when you now pull off versus when you reach the big stretch on Mukarapa Road and we have space versus when you reach in the Soca Dome or the Savannah stage versus when you go on the avenue. There's different parts, and for every part that exists on the route, different songs have to play. So you have to know when to speed it up and play power. You have to know when to play groovy. Maybe you want to do a little back in times. You could do that. We're not told what to play. I think that what it really comes down to is experience as a DJ and knowing to what the masquerader wants. Like I've been blessed with the ability to have played mass many times before and understand the excitement you get. For me, on my favorite stretch, which is Mukarapa Road.
Yeah.
Mukarapa Road, that's the time everyone wants to get wild because they have the space. You're not
Yes.
scrunched
Yeah.
up behind the truck. You have space to move and free up. And as to why people in here, I mean, I'll go on the record and say it's probably laziness. It also could be too that maybe the truck that you're with, maybe DJ just say doing what they need to do. So you have to go to another truck and hear different music.
From music.
That's what I used to do when I played mass. If I know I wasn't satisfied with there's a year I played in Bliss, and there was this DJ that was just playing a whole bunch of EDM soca, and I'm like, but what is this?
My
But I
God.
went to the back by another DJ, and I was like, okay, this is more my vibe. So it's knowing that too, knowing
Yeah.
which DJs to go by, knowing to maybe change it up. You don't always have to play with the hype band too. You don't always have to play with Tribe or with Bliss or with Yuma or with Paparazzi. You have other bands too.
Okay.
I think that we get so caught up as patrons and as masqueraders to be in the hype of everything that we forget that we as consumers have the power in everything. We could spend your money anywhere.
Anyway, that's true. We're gonna do some, how should I say, fast track questions, because let me tell you something. There's so many things that I want to ask you, and I think I'll probably have to do a part 2 or something like that, because your bio
Yeah.
is so eclectic and there's so many different aspects to
Yeah,
you.
because we didn't even talk about the business of music yet. Like, I
Not
think that's the
even.
biggest thing we need to talk about. But
Yeah.
and I wanted to touch quickly on Killer too, if you'll allow me.
Sure.
Killer's talking all this madness on Instagram Live about how his music wasn't playing in Trinidad and Tobago.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because he wasn't on the ground, because for those who don't know, Killer had to leave Trinidad. Yeah, he's in the US right now. And he can't go back because of whatever asylum situation he has, or
Oh, really?
what I think happens is he overstayed. I don't know, there's a talk going around, but we know he can't go back, and he said that on the live already.
Okay.
Killer's music was playing in Trinidad, Riot especially, and then his second one, which would have been the Spanish song. Those tunes got significant airplay, even on the Mafia station.
Mm-hmm.
We all the Ojo, right? It got a lot of play on
Oh
that
my
particular
God!
station.
Uh-huh.
And for him to say these things, I wanted to know what he was listening to, because I listen to radio a lot. I also check the streaming a lot. And even on the road and in parties, Riot was playing. Because for those who don't know, have another song in that rhythm with Riot that Nyla has, the Round and Rosie, that got viral on TikTok.
Yeah, it did.
It was playing. So for him to go and do that, and I mean, he later then admitted that, oh, well, I have to stay relevant. But you can't do that at the expense of the industry either. There's
Exactly.
other ways to stay relevant. Like the same way Nyla invested in her Round and Rosie challenge and got people to like the song, although it wasn't a quiet taste at first. Because when
Yeah.
she performed it on Uber, it didn't do well at all. But
Oh,
now everyone loves the
that's
song
true.
because of the challenge, especially the girls. They love to do the side to side, the up, down, side to side, in the middle.
Yeah, she's been having them do that. Yeah.
The marketing behind it was genius. And I think that Killer and other artists like Killer need to really think about, yes, you could blame the mafia, but you still have a part to play in it too. With the
Yeah.
amount of people who would have gotten through without any radio play, especially
Mm,
the Trinidad dancehall artists who don't
mm.
depend on radio, they get through. You know why? Because they found other ways to get their music heard.
To do them, yeah. And even though he was complaining and stuff like that, like, um, I think he did. There's a time that he got on live, and I think there was a whole thing with his management and a whole bunch of stuff. I think he was getting into, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Killer himself, if he looks at his history,
Mm,
there's a local dancehall, the
mm,
Gunman in Shihul,
mm,
that he would have been popular with without radio. Gunman in Shihul took off because of a viral video
mm,
that went viral in 2019. And that's how Killer actually got his start into soca. He didn't want to sing dancehall, but he did a freestyle on
uh-huh,
that zest rhythm that was popular at the time. And
yeah,
then the following year, he able to bring out 2 or 3 songs for Carnival. So
mm,
Killer knows how to work the system, it's just, I think it's misdirected anger and energy. And
yeah.
maybe him not being on the ground in Trinidad to really know the power of
That's
his
the,
music.
yeah. And then the energy that was coming from other people who was going live who probably wasn't as popular and stuff and said that their music wasn't being played and other people
Yeah.
started jumping on the bandwagon and saying they didn't hear. But if you don't have a popular song, I'm just saying, I'm not calling names to say like they're not popular, popular, whatever. But if you don't have a huge following, if you don't have a song that people really like and it's not being called on air, it's not gonna get played, right? I'm just saying. I'm not,
Yeah, in theory.
yeah,
Especially if we're in a different age, right? Music has
yeah.
evolved, people's tastes have changed. So my advice to any new artist who wants to break into the industry, for example, Wadix, because
Mhm.
Wadix broke through this year with Beat From Bad. The song was released early. It was written by a prominent artist,
I
Mikel
like that
Teja.
song. Yeah.
It was produced also by Mikel Teja and Kevin
Mm,
Bihari from System 32. That's a production company.
mm,
And Wadix worked the song. He went in every hole in the wall, every rum shop and campaign. He went on radio. I don't think he was as active on social media, but he worked the ground in Trinidad and Tobago. And I think that because of the egos that exist in the industry, you forget the other things you have to do to really work
have
a
to do.
song. You
True.
have to go and perform it, go run up in some of the free shows. It have Stag Stage. It
Yeah.
have the weekly thing that Guardian Media does, Slam. They do the Islam concert series.
Yeah.
TTT, the government-owned station, Next 99, they do Pavement Lime every Thursday leading into Carnival. So
And a
from
lot of artists
January
was
till
there. Yeah.
yeah, so you have to figure out now how to get in front of the eyes of these people. And then if you don't have that, you have social media. A
Exactly.
lot of the artists who are complaining too are funny. They're complaining their music is not available to purchase or to stream.
Exactly.
So you're only studying on Trinidad and Tobago's population of 1.5 million. Of the 1.5 million, maybe 300,000 actually listen to soca daily.
Hmm.
The world is big. If you're not getting play in Trinidad and Tobago and have other places, then you have to really figure out how you're going to get your music in front of people.
People. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So how are you strategically able to have these major platforms under your belt? So why I'm saying this, it says DJ Jel is an industry through
Thought,
leader, right? He's worked
yeah.
on several campaigns with digital streaming platforms such as Spotify, Pandora, Audiomack, to grow the listenership of soca music from the region. So tell us about this.
Right. So, hmm, honestly, I don't even want to say it's luck because it has really been strategic in truth. So the
Mm,
content I would put out, especially the video you watch with me and the Soca Mafia and maybe another video about tracklist,
yeah.
I would have positioned myself to be an industry leader because I know a lot about Soca. I've been studying it since I've been 12, 13.
Mm,
And It's funny, I've always had this knowledge and I didn't know where to put it. So with all the interviews I would have done, I would have taken the clips and put it, and somehow that would have gotten the attention of people at those companies, at AudioMac, at Spotify, at Pandora, at SiriusXM. Because
Okay.
when they're doing their research and they're looking for talent and they're looking for experts,
Mm-hmm.
no one was doing it.
Oh,
Dr. J is one, but Dr. J didn't have the marketing behind it. So
okay.
when you're searching online and you're like soca, top soca DJ or top industry leader in soca,
Mm-hmm.
I would come up because the same thing that you just read out there is on my website and on the YouTube and on
Okay.
SoundCloud. So it would pop up as the number one thing on the search. So that in itself is strategic. But the
Yeah.
reason I brought it up is because maybe outside of Blackie, I don't think there's anyone within my age group that's passionate about soca or that could talk about it for hours.
Yeah. There's one person that you had mentioned. Maybe by the end of this interview, I might remember and I'll mention it. But he's one DJ that name like 3 or 4 DJ that you would say is one of the upcoming or top DJs right now, at your age
All
level.
right, who's the sorry, repeat it.
Oh, who's the DJ? Which DJ do you would consider is one of the top DJs upcoming? And let me see if I can remember his name.
Top DJs upcoming.
Yeah, at least in
Did I
your
mention
age group.
there? Oh, well, did it? I think I mentioned Travis, no?
Yeah, Travis. But there's two of them that play over here. He's gonna kill me for not remembering his
Oh,
name.
Junior Cruiser and by far
Right,
Mega. Right.
right.
So
Mega.
Mega's older than us actually. I'm actually more shocked that he's getting his play now because
Yeah,
he in his 30s, but he's been around for a while too.
yeah,
But I guess nothing before its time. Yeah, Mega is having his reign.
yeah.
And by extension, he by far means so Junior Cruiser, GB, Phenom, and
Mm.
I think I'm missing one more name. But those are the names that I work with in the by far
Yeah, I'm impressed. When I think of you, I think of Mega because Mega, I mean, he was a professor and there's different things
at
that he
Brooklyn
was doing
College,
as
yes.
well. Yeah. So I guess some people, I guess is what your focus is at that time, you know? If for you, you came up and you started music and you went to college and you did different things. But I guess his focus was probably something totally different. That's why maybe how
Well, I
he,
think too, in the time when he came out,
Mhm.
the time when Mega came out, he was still a professor.
Yeah,
Um, we were on a lot of shows together too, before he blew up. But
yeah.
I think too, where a lot of the DJs would have been traveling in the circuits, so with the
Mm-hmm.
Regos, the Freeze, the Back to Basics, Mega was present in the market. And then there were also, what people didn't realize, there was a big change in the guards too.
Yeah.
COVID would have speed up the process for a lot of the younger DJs to get their foothold in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
New York, Florida, Toronto, even Trinidad. Because you see how now Anna and also Simone kind of took off, Travis and
Yes.
Major
Yeah.
Penny. Then
Yeah.
in Toronto, you have DJ Kevin and Budsby.
Mm.
And in New York, you have by far Mega and Junior Cruiser.
Yeah.
So I think COVID would have come and speed that up
Since
because a lot
everybody
of
was
them
going
were
live.
active and they were active during the pandemic, right? We tend
Yes.
to remember the people who were active in the pandemic, who were putting out the mixes, who were doing the lives. Those that put in the work are those who are flourishing now. And you see how important it is to invest in your brand.
Yeah, it's very, very important. So you are currently now a program director for Soca Channel and curator for is it Tough Gong or Tough Soca Satellite Radio?
Tough Soca.
Mm.
So SiriusXM has a Soca channel
Mm-hmm.
that is updated monthly by myself and ZJ Sparks out of Jamaica. So
Mm.
we will go in and update it to get more people to stream Soca. When it plays on Sirius, the artists who um are streamed, they actually get a higher percentage in terms of the royalties. So Sirius pays out the most out of any streaming platform or any radio platform.
Mm.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
But
Uh,
yeah, the reason I was selected for that too is again the content I put out.
yeah.
And mainly because of Sparks too. Sparks did her research and it's like, well, who's this Gel person? And he seemed to know a lot about soca, and that's how it came to be. So the takeaway I want to bring there is that if you're passionate about anything, it could be anything. It could be to be this bag of chips here. Oh,
Uh-huh.
right. Do it. You never know what your passion could bring because people are always looking for something and they're always looking for experts on anything. So if you know you're passionate about chips, phone, computers, anything, do
Mm,
it because there's a market for it.
true. And they say the people that you have on your social media, you should add what you like or what you, let's say I'm doing voiceovers, so I'll add certain media houses and so forth. You're a DJ, so you'd add, certain companies and so forth, so they could actually see you.
Mhm.
Is that correct? Okay. All right. So you said Gel is one of the first DJs to launch a 100% soca music channel on SiriusXM in the US and Canada. And the channel features soca music from across the Caribbean diaspora that is registered and available for digital purchases.
Yes.
So you
So
made
every
his. Mhm.
Yes, so everything available on there. And why I keep bringing up streaming is because when we started the channel, one of the major problems we had is that a lot of the older soca music wasn't there. So there's songs from Patrice, like one of my favorite songs from Patrice and Zan, I can't find, and it's still not available today, despite talking to Patrice, despite
Mhm.
talking to Zan, despite talking to Colonel Roberts, who is the producer, and the entire team. It's not there. It doesn't exist.
Wow.
Um, what the DJs argue to be the biggest soca song in the world, Palance, is also not available for purchase or streaming. Look it up. Yeah, you cannot find, there's a dub plate.
Uh-huh.
There's an actual dub plate version of Palance, but it's not available to stream anywhere. So
Mm.
it's funny. We have all these conversations about we shouldn't hate on Palance and we're like, this was not available for streaming. I mean, that's my mini rant. But I still have that to say. It's been a challenge to get the Soca channel up and running. It's been running
Mm.
about 3 years now. It
Mm.
launched in January of 2021. And yeah, we did make a stream.
Congratulations. That's a good honor to have. Your mix. So before we go further, I would like you to tell everyone your social handles, where they could find you, where they could find your mixes and so forth.
Sure. So it's actually very easy. You could find everything at Gel in the Mix. So Facebook, Twitter, or X, Instagram, TikTok, at Gel in the Mix.
Mm.
Same goes for SoundCloud, Gel in the Mix, Mixcloud, Gel in the Mix, YouTube, Gel in the
Everything
Mix,
is gel in
and
the
that's one
mix.
word. You could also visit my website at gelinthemix.com. You could email me at gelinthemix@gmail.com. So if you just type it in, you'll find it.
You'll find it. Good.
Yeah,
All right.
everything
What
is uniform.
Perfect. What is your secret to success?
Hmm.
Simple.
It's very cliche. I mean, it's time management, it's discipline, and everyone might think that's it. You'll be very surprised. In this world of instant gratification, where
Mm.
everything seems to come quick, it don't work so. Nikki could actually tell you because Nikki knows me personally. I've been doing this since even before I met Nikki, but since
Yeah.
2009. And I only saw major breakthrough in 2016. So
Wow.
that's to tell you how many years it would have taken me to get from point A to point B to point C. But
Yeah.
once you have a plan and once you're determined and you make your
Mm.
goals and you're disciplined, anything is possible. But you
Yeah.
have to put in the work and you have to put in the time. Nothing happens overnight.
True.
People might try to take these shortcuts, but it don't work.
But it's interesting. Like sometimes we might feel like people would tell me, Nicole, okay, I'll use you for example. Everywhere I go, I would hear Gel in the mix. Sometimes I'll introduce myself and I'll say, oh, that's Gel, that's my voice or whatever, depending on how I feel. I went to a
Mm.
restaurant recently that's off of Church all the way down. One of these restaurants. And then I think I went to Pops, the ice cream place.
Island Pops, yes, on
Island
Ashton
Pops.
and St.
And I
Mark's, yeah.
went, yeah, and I went there and I heard it. Sometimes people would send me the mix, like people who know that I'm the voice of Jah. They would send me a video of the mix. It's like, hey, I hear the music and stuff. So sometimes, they hear the drop and then they hear DJ Jel and it's like, oh, we hear Jel mixing this place. But I say that to say this sometimes, and I go through it too. Sometimes I'll be like, I reach where I want to reach yet. And we tend to, not to say put ourselves down, but we feel like haven't reached us yet, or we're not popular, or we're not, and then we want more and more and more, and which is good. It's driven, you're driven, you have your goals and stuff like that, and I feel like I've always looked at you like somebody who's successful. No matter where you were, you
Mhm.
always had that drive from the restaurant to to me, you're already successful,
Thank
I
you.
guess people see that in you. So that's why they think of you that way, because they see it before you even reach where you feel you need to reach.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to determination and attitude, right? And oh yeah, well, I don't really talk about it, but manifesting is actually very important too. All the things that's happening to me right now, believe it or not, I've
Mhm.
had it written down. Like I have my little notebook here. I
Ah,
have I have a Trello board too, for those who know about Trello and the to-do list and the vision board. I have
Mm.
all those things written down. So anything good I want to happen to me, I write it down.
Oh, nice.
It's always
Yeah.
somewhere, and I'll go and look at it and see how close I am to getting the goal. I'm not always where I want to be, to your
Mhm.
point, when we
Mhm.
think about ourselves and success, but I did pretty good. The things I wrote down can happen, so I'm happy for that. And I think everyone should treat it that way too, because
Mhm.
in order to know where you're going, you have to see the mental and the daily reminders. So the reason why you may have seen that in me is because from way back when, I knew where I wanted to be. I
Yes.
knew this was going to happen because I put it down and I say I work towards that, and it happens.
Yeah. That's
Again,
awesome.
all these things sounding cliche, but it works.
Yeah, it does. It really does work. At the beginning of the year, I would write down, let's say, I'll give myself like 5 to 10 things, and then I'll tackle that. That's my yearly goal. And then each week, I would write down things every day, what I have to do and what my goal is at the end of the week, and then just try to stick with it that way. And, as I say. So we're going to take a quick break, play a quick video so you could get some more of Gel and his music and his mixes and so forth. And we'll be right back with islandvibe.net and Table Talk Show with Nikki G the Voice and Gel.
Press it up, press it up, press it up, press it up, press it up. We gon' mash up everything like we have insurance, and tear down everything like we have insurance. We gon' shell out everything like we have insurance. When crazy people reach up, they have insurance, cause we have endurance. We gon' mash it up and buy back, tear down and build back. Mash it up and buy back, tear down and build back. We gon'
Welcome back to Table Talk Show with Nikki G the Voice. I'm here with my special guests, my friends, I could even say my advisor sometimes, because sometimes he'll give me some really pertinent information and, give me
Yeah, I
clues and
think
stuff
I
like that.
even helped you start the podcast. You had reached
Yes,
out to
you
me a day to
did.
figure out how to start a podcast.
You did, because I was like, how do I do a podcast? Like, how do I get? And it was so simple, Another thing you told me is like, Nicole, why don't you use your voice when you're making your posts on Instagram? And I'm like,
Yes.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
because that's what you're selling.
I know
That's your
exactly.
service.
And now that I'm looking around, now that I'm looking and I'm seeing, they say like, success leave crumbs and so forth. So when you don't have people in your industry around you, so it's kind of hard now. You're basically the leader in your own industry. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
I mean, I still surround myself with smart people too. Don't get tied up. I mean, you would have met me when I was working for Colette. I mean, that wasn't a
yeah,
mistake either. Yes, I was working in a restaurant, but I was doing a lot of other things for Colette, like marketing.
yeah.
And I mean, up to this day, she still is my mentor. Like, we talk almost all the time.
Mm,
And it's good to have people who are smarter than you. You need that. Because
yeah.
otherwise, you ain't gonna learn nothing. If you continue to surround yourself with the same old people who are not where you want to be, or I don't want to say don't have a level of success, but haven't ventured out to do what it is you want to do, whether it's entrepreneurship or entertainment or anything,
Hmm.
then you will be very limited in what you can do.
That's
So
true.
it's always good to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you so you can learn.
All
Humble
right.
yourself and learn.
Okay. So we're gonna do the fiery round so you could answer the question as quick as possible. All right. What equipment and software do you use to create your mixes?
Serato.
All right. Let's see. What advice would you give to aspiring DJs who are just starting out?
TikTok marketing. Oh, no, one word. TikTok marketing.
All right. You share upcoming projects, collaborations. Can you share any upcoming projects or collaborations you're excited about?
Just so Toronto.
Okay. Women feel the need to exploit their bodies during carnival. What's your thoughts on is it necessary?
Excuse? I don't understand the question. Women feel the need to what?
Okay, so let me put it down in Trini terms. The way how carnival went recently, everyone was saying people were exposed. If I don't know if you saw this video going around where this lady had, instead of the thong being in the back, she had it in front. And they find like the costumes are not how it used to be before. Like they had more pieces to it. Now it's wired bras and more
I
exposure.
mean, we kind of have this discussion in a circle every year because
Mhm.
mass is not what it used to be, but we forget that mass evolves. I do think that people need to have a certain class, but it's really not for me to say, because carnival is also supposed to be freedom and being comfortable in your own skin. So I
Mhm.
can't really speak on that. I think it's best to have, when this topic comes up, because it's a good topic, you'll need a designer and you'll need probably one or two masqueraders who are plus size to
Mhm.
kind of come in and chime in there. Because I can't speak on that because I am neither.
Okay. But you have your costumes, correct? When you do your designing and stuff. So do you don't tell them like what you want them or how you want it to look, or you just let the designer take creative rights?
So I have a team that's responsible for that who are also experienced in that. So what I do tell them is that we always need a plus size and a costume that fits and
Mm,
looks good on someone who is plus size or curvy because it's not a one costume fits all. You need the different options. Because
mm,
if we're building an inclusive band, not everyone is going to be this petite size. It have people of different sizes and they all need to look good or classy in a costume. It
yeah,
shouldn't, because I understand the role of naked mask, but also diversity and inclusiveness is very
true,
important in mass.
true. All right. Where do you see soca? Okay, where does soca need improvement, and where do you see it? Like, let's say hypothetical 5 years from now.
Business of music needs to change. Everyone needs to be educated in the business of music. And I think that soca has the opportunity to be placed in a lot more movies and TV shows.
Hmm, more exposure. Okay. And now we're getting down to the wire. Let's see here. Okay. Um, The Alchemist. Could you just explain? Is it The Alchemist? Hold on. Oh, Gary V. Sorry. Could you explain Gary V and why is he so important to you or anyone else?
Where you get this information? How you know that?
I do my research.
Oh
I
God.
do my research.
So for those who don't know, Gary Vee is a serial entrepreneur. He owns Vayner Media, which is a media agency and a marketing agency in New York City. Um, he also has a wine company and he used to do garage sales and buy and sell and all of that. He's also a big mentor to me too. I don't know him personally. I would have met him maybe once or twice at advertising week when I was still in university and I got the opportunity to go.
Mhm.
But Gary Vee's are important because of a few things. I read his books, all of them, and he's also very big on digital marketing and social media. So that, the podcast, the videos he would leave online, because he's very big on like self-awareness and accountability. So why is Gary Vee important to me is because he addressed three things that I think I would have struggled with in life. One is self-awareness and knowing yourself. I
Mhm.
think that we get so caught up in the world of trying to be something that we're not instead of being our true selves.
Mhm.
Because, the world is constantly judging us on what we do, what we wear, how we act. And his advice can help with that. His videos help with that. Two, accountability. Within our Caribbean community, diaspora, in the region, wherever we
Yep.
exist, we don't hold each other accountable. It's quicker for us to blame everyone else but ourselves. So what I would have taken away from his knowledge is that when any day we are the root of most of our problems. And we also, and the moment we know that, we know how to fix everything, right? The moment we know we have the power to change things and that, yes, maybe it's my fault I didn't get this mixed out on time, we then know how to improve. We know then to set the deadlines. And that's kind of why, too, I've been a little bit more disciplined and self-driven because everything comes down to you. You have to
Yeah.
blame yourself at the end of the day. You can't blame the software. You can't blame your ex, whoever, for not doing what you need to do.
Take
So
accountability. Yeah.
Gary Vee has kind of helped make me successful in a way, just based on the little free advice he just give out online and, well, the stuff I paid for in books.
All right. So is there anything that you want my audience to know that I haven't asked you as yet before I go on to my game?
Hmm. The only thing I would really want the audience to know is how important it is to support people within the Caribbean community, whether you live abroad, like in New York, Florida, Toronto, UK, or even if you live in the region, how important it is to support your creators. Because for those who do this for a living or who it is their bread and butter or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
um, without your support, it makes it very hard for us to do what it is we need to do. And I know everyone looks at it like, oh, well, he just there having a time but there's actual money and investment that goes into it. Like you, Nikki, of course you know this. Equipment's not cheap.
Yeah.
Microphones are not cheap.
Nope.
DJ equipment is not cheap. Then to market, to transport, all these different things cost money.
Yeah.
And yes, what we do might be fun, but for a lot of us, we contribute to a part of an economy, whether it's in a lot of what we do is actually really based in tourism or based in arts and culture. And these things are just as important. These things make the world go round. They contribute to the gross domestic product. And any day without your support, we can't do what we do. So I
Yeah.
just want everyone to be mindful of that for anyone who's in entertainment, who's in media, that's what we do. Cost
Yeah.
money.
And especially for the music and the DJs, I'm just highlighting those two things. It's like stream, 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 share, click, like, all those good
Yeah, it's
things.
free. Even if you can't afford to support us, it's free
Yeah.
to do a Instagram story. It's free to share.
Mm-hmm.
It's free to do those things. And it
Yeah.
goes a long way. You won't believe.
All right. So my game is a quick game. The time is near. We probably have like 3 minutes or so. Jel,
Two
I want to
minutes.
thank you before I go into my game. I just want to thank you so much for being a part of my show, for
Thanks for
sharing
having me.
your inner thoughts and so forth about everything that you've been through. In summary, and even not even in summary, because you highlighted a lot of things and gave people a lot of gems on how they could focus on their career and how to do all these different things. Just give them your social media handles again, where they could find you, and so forth.
Sure. You can find me everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, TikTok at Gel in the Mix. One word. And you could stream the mixes at gelinthemix.com.
Yeah. And I just want to say I'm proud of you. If I didn't say it before, I'm super
Thank
proud of
you.
you.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay, so quick one-word answers. What does these words mean to you? Soca,
Happiness.
music,
Life.
Top Gong,
Bob Marley.
Trinidad,
Unity.
Gel,
Soca Boss.
Jelani.
Mighty.
Awesome.
Actually, the meaning of my name too, by the way.
Okay. So at least we know that. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Patience.
Mm, be a little more patient. Or you could
Patience. Oh,
elaborate on that.
we're still doing one word? Okay.
Oh yeah, that one you
No,
could
just be
elaborate
more
on.
patient. Don't rush the process. It's something that Cass gave to me a few years ago when I had the opportunity to interview him. He
Mm,
told me that, it's funny, we get so caught up in be looking for success that we always forget to enjoy the journey. We never really enjoy the journey because we're always looking for the next best thing or the next
Yeah.
biggest thing. So enjoying the journey and being patient, I think, would be something I give to my younger self.
Very nice. What's your pet peeve?
Bad manners.
Bad manners?
Manners.
Oh, as in
Not saying good morning, rushing past people, not holding the door, them kind of thing.
yeah, right. Okay, so I was gonna warn you about this because a couple of my questions it depends on how you want to answer it, and it could be related to what you do, right? What sound turns you on?
Guitar.
Guitar, really? Okay. If heaven had a gate for you to walk to, what would you like God to tell you?
You've done good, my child. That's how I imagine it happening.
Oh, so you want him to give you no, that's not self-praise, but you want him to praise you.
I mean, that's how I imagine it happening. I don't know if it will happen, not we, but
Okay. But would you like him to give you any advice or future thoughts or anything of the sort besides like saying you've done a good job?
well, if I'm going to the pearly gates, what advice you have for me up there? I
No,
can't come
wait.
back down.
Okay, so let me clarify this. If it had a gate where you could walk to, you don't have to be dead. You actually walk
okay.
it there to get advice from him. What would it be? Or for him to tell you something, I should say.
I guess what I could do better, or who I should help next. Because I do realize God sends a lot of people, and then He sends me to help other people. So I realize that that's a big thing.
Yeah, I truly believe in that. So we reached to the end of the show. I want to thank Jel again for being on Table Talk Show with Nikki G, the voice. You have been a great sport, and I look forward to seeing you. Let's see, we'll probably follow up in like a year from now, or anytime you have any projects or anything that you want us to know, you can send it to us.
You'll see me in person very soon too.
Oh yeah, okay. Definitely. All right. So thank you again, Jel. Have a wonderful week. And anyone that wants to, contact Jel, as he said, you could contact him at social media.
Jel in the Mix.
Jel in the Mix.
Insta, you could reach out via the website too. There's a form you could reach out. I see everything.
Right.
And jelinthemix@gmail.com.
All right. Everyone have a great week, a great weekend, a great life, everything. And you can reach me at talktable57@gmail.com or nikkigthevoice@gmail.com, or you could add me at Nikki the Voice on all social medias, and you could also go on my website, which is www.nikkimedia.com. That's the only one that's different.
Okay, that's not okay.
Yeah.
We gotta get more uniform, but so that we can just tell everyone at Nikki G the Voice. So
I know. Well, that one with the voice has to come separate, because I realize people would go on it and they'll be like, okay, so where's the voice stuff besides the media stuff? Because I do media as well as, my voice work and stuff like that, So, all right, Jel. So enjoy. Thank you so much. And everyone, thank you for locking it in. Huh?
So thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime. Take care, everyone. And thank you for locking in. See you next time.
My next guest is DJ Jel.
Island Vibes, Caribbean Station. We blaze.
Plus this.
Welcome to Table Talk with Nikki G, the voice.
Where
we
is this
bring
scene
to
on there?
you
It's
highlights
DJ Jel,
of
the Soca
entrepreneurs,
Boss.
leaders, organizers, and much more.
I'll be coming back for you.
It broad spectrum of professionals including chefs, artists, designers, musicians, and much, much more. Our show is a new brand of talk shows where we educate, bring transparency, and last but not least, fun. Table talk. Get ready for our seasons, a roller coaster of emotions, all wrapped into one. Caribbean style. We'll cover our Caribbean roots as well, so keep it locked. Welcome to Table Talk. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and iTunes. The Soca Boss.